Greetings little mortals, let's cover a lighter topic this once. Well, it is lighter if you consider we will be talking about how a male VA can defend himself from a corporation. First off, understand that if they bring you in and instantly act aggressive and creative, they are likely already going to let you go. In the same aspect, do not let them sweet talk you into a PR statement. These statements are not in your best interest and serve only to excuse the company and sometimes the accuser of all wrongdoing. It is better that you save any possible statements for after you have a personal lawyer's advice on the issue. Do not sign any NDA if they terminate your contract. If you are no longer going to be employed, this is useless and will only serve to try and limit your speech on the issue at hand. In some cases, the PR firm has indulged in shady tactics to defend the corporation, and these acts can include defamation. It is for this reason courts are starting to hold companies accountable with no immunity if they have defamed former employees. Gather names, even if it is for personal reasons. Keep in mind who defended you and who didn't. If you are actively being defamed by a Twitter user or other person on social media, archive everything. Elliot's current case shows they do change their handle to escape persecution if they can. The biggest problem here is these people are being protected by insiders. By remembering names and keeping records, you can effectively put serious stress on an insider. While this will do little to resolve the problem of the insider, most insiders have an invested interest in lying low under such circumstances. Have a set of rules for public events. You can do this before an incident happens to help prevent said incident from being an issue. Use a buddy system with someone you can trust outside the corporation. This person will not be able to be held to any NDA you sign regardless, since NDAs are actually limited in what they can tell you not to talk about by law. This person can also be someone who can act as a shield for social events and encounters by providing an escape. If a situation feels a little funny, it probably is. Your buddy will be your witness if it comes to it. The hope is they are not needed and you can treat a friend to a special event. The reality is your buddy may be the difference between you keeping your livelihood even if you lose your job. They are not on your side. The corporations have been compromised ethically and refuse to accept this simple fact. Knowing this, any recommendations should be looked at with a bit of doubt. Never fully trust the company lawyer unless the documentations specifically highlight that they are representing only you by name. If they represent you by name, they are ethically obligated to serve in your interest, not the company's. You have the power to change your lawyer, not the corporation. Use your therapist. If the company recommends you see a therapist, do not trust anyone they recommend. The corporation is not allowed to threaten you for any of the actions mentioned in this segment. This is because while they can suggest it, the choice is yours in the end, and they have less say than they will let on. Right to work is still not an excuse. If a company fires you for illegal reasons, right to work does not fully protect them. You can still raise a civil suit against them. If you do this, it's recommended you go for a nuisance settlement, as this puts pressure on CEOs to make sure that the issues you raised never happen to others. It's also a red flag for investors that says the company does not treat its employees well. NDAs do not cover illegal activities, including wrongful termination via illegal means. Even right-to-work states have employment laws that cannot be ignored even with the right-to-work status. Limit office encounters. Your work as a VA is not dependent on you living in a state that allows a corporation to railroad you. You can easily do all work via call. This is also something that HR should be happy to let you do, as it limits interactions and possible scandals. If HR is raising a fuss, the corporation, or at the very least their HR, is suspect and cannot be trusted. If a company has male VA issues, where many male VAs were mysteriously accused of things, it is highly likely they have activists running their HR. This is an ethical issue and not likely one to be addressed. It may be better to avoid such companies, as the likelihood of you becoming a target is almost a certainty. There are good companies out there to work for. It is by far the bad ones that seem to get the most attention. It's a squeaky wheel effect, and a little oil in the form of healthy caution is a good idea. Older male VAs are more knowledgeable about some of the older shady practices. Yet these newer ones have people in their right state of mind asking why some of these HR people are not in prison for their behavior. The answer is complicated. making it simple they abuse the systems of NDAs and struggle sessions. This is why the short-term goal is to protect the males that are just getting into the industry from false accusers. The idea is to make it impossible or close to it to cancel a male VA from his position through false allegations. And if the allegations do succeed and are still false, to then provide a means for that male VA to maintain his career. A second effect would be to punish corporations for clear collaboration with the gender terrorists when it is discovered, by forcing them to pay the termination fees of the former contract on top of compensations. More sanctions need to be pressured against them if it's discovered they only went with them simply to terminate a contract without having to pay the termination clause. When it becomes too damaging to do bad business will be less of an issue.